Good morning. Tuesday, the 11th of August. Charity beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. That's 1 Corinthians 13, verse 7, of course. So this morning we consider the second of the four divisions in this particular verse. Love believeth all things. These divisions define Christian love, and as such instruct us how we are to love. It shows us the nature of Christian love. So love believeth all things. Does that mean we are to actually believe everything we hear? Of course not. That is idiocy, not love. Some things are contrary to fact. Some things just are not true. Look at Proverbs 14, verse 15. The simple believe every word. Are you simple? Do you believe every word? But the prudent man looketh well to his going. That is, the wise are discerning. So when we read that charity believeth all things, it does not mean that it believes every single word. Then you see the advantage of understanding these words. All things. Charity always believes, always hopes, always endures. So in the context of love, charity beareth all things, believeth all things. We then see love as being something that is strong, that is or should be, especially in the communion of the saints and in our relationships one with the other. The word believe has the concept of trusting. There is a mutual trust between believers. Where we love one another, we trust one another. Love believes all things. Love takes others at their word. We are not suspicious, critical, or judgmental of them. We assign the best motives to what they say and what they do. If they are kind or helpful, we believe that it is from genuine desire in their hearts to love us, that they are not just trying to butter us up or put themselves forward and doing this for some selfish motive. Instead of judging motives, we believe all things, and even if they do something wrong, or if they hear a rumour or story from another that puts them in a bad light, we are reluctant to believe it, but we'll try to find an explanation that puts them in a positive light, because love believeth all things. Think of the responsibility of parents towards children with regard to love. You have a clear and responsible expectations of your children. A clear expectation is perhaps this, that your child has to do certain things. Ordinarily, the child will do them with no problem. They know what is expected of them. Then you find one day they did not come up to expectations. They have not done what they ought to have done. A love that believes all things does not fly off the handle, but you think, and you wonder, what's going on? And you patiently inquire into the situation, because love does not judge motives, but believes all things. That does not mean that love is blind, that love is blind particularly to sin or to faults. But as verse 6 puts it, it rejoices not in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth. It focuses not on the weaknesses and the failures of others, but on the strengths and the virtues. That is a love that believes all things, but all too often for us, it is the other way round. We look for and we see the flaws and the weaknesses, barely glancing at the strengths and the virtues. That is not loving. Let me give you a biblical example. Think of the Pharisees. They had a hypocritical and judgmental attitude, so that Jesus says to them that they strain at the gnat and swallow the camel. Matthew 23:24, of course. In their self-righteousness, they saw all the tiny flaws and blemishes in others, and they looked down their self-righteous noses at those things. whilst in their own lives, in their own conduct, everything was permissible. They dealt with just the external requirements of the law. They saw themselves as righteous, and they were able to pin blame and sin on the others. Jesus takes that and applies it to his own disciples. He tells them over and over again to beware, because the same Pharisaic attitude is in the sinful heart of every single one of us. So in Matthew chapter 7, Jesus says to his disciples, "Judge not that ye be not judged. For with that judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. And with what measure ye meet, it shall be measured to you again. And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considerest not the beam that is in thine own? Oh, how wilt thou say to thy brother, or wilt thou say to thy brother, Let me pull out a mote in thine eye, and behold a beam in thine own eye? Thou hypocrite, first cast out the beam in thine own eye, and then thou shalt see clearly to cast out the mote that is in thy brother's eye." So what Jesus is doing, he is taking the practice of the Pharisees, the self-righteous doctrine of the Pharisees, and he is applying it to us, his disciples. He is saying, don't be hypocritical. If you deal with others that way, you can expect others to deal with you in that way also. Later in verse 12 he says, "Whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do to you, do you even to them. For this is the law of the prophets. It is not hasty in judgment, or censorious, or critical. Love believeth all things." This is how we are to live, and our fellow believers live and love our fellow believers in the church. Do we? Or are we quick to judge, quick to put them down, quick to believe the worst, quick to find fault, quick to be critical? Or in the words of Philippians 2, do you esteem others better than yourselves? Love believeth all things. This then is something of the meaning of the text, and it deals with our personal relationships, and certainly that is in the context here. It is talking about our relationships one with the other. So we have a lot there to challenge us, a lot to think about. May the Lord bless us as we go forward in this day. So the Lord be with you and bless you. Amen.